I bought the cheapest Mark 6 GTR in the country, and today we're going to find out if we struck gold, or have we bought a pile of headaches. So let's get into it. There she is. Let's take the top of the cover off. Ooh, oh yeah. Looks like someone's been having an oil party in here. It's covered everywhere. Bloody hell. Yeah, covered on the back as well. Vacuum pump is also covered as well. Smells oily, not fuely, so that's good. It means that the fuel pump is not leaking into the vacuum pump and then leaking into the engine, so that's a good sign. Let's check the oil level. Yeah, I don't know if you guys will be able to pick that up, but that is actually overfilled. Yeah, up to here, so it's supposed to be up to there, and it's up to here, and it doesn't look like it's got any metal fragments in there. Looks quite clean, but overfilled. I know the car is on a bit of a incline, but that is literally like 1.5 litres overfilled. Could this have something to do with the fact that we had oil light on? Possibly. I'm gonna go and start taking the coil packs off and start doing the spark plugs and see what they look like, and kind of go from there. And after I take the spark plugs off, I'm gonna lift the car up, and then we're gonna spin the crank over to see if we have a good engine or not. But before we do any of that, we need to get this oil cleaned off the top here, because forget working on an oily engine, it's just gonna cause a hell of a lot of mess than it needs to. So let's get into that. So, oh. Soaking in oil. Bloody hell. The back of that is even worse. Put some on top of this as well. Whilst we're here, I might as well clean everything that we have. Yeah, this will come off, but it's just gonna be, yeah. Could this also be someone actually, by any chance, overfit or putting the oil in here and just dripping it all over here? It's a possibility. I'm not sure, but it is worth finding out. And also, whilst I got you guys here, if you just come around, let me see if this door is open. Probably not. It's not. If you come around here, it's also not open, but I'll show you from this anyway. It's the same thing. The back seat was lifted up, and that's giving me the impression that I'll put some footage of the back seat in a minute. Why was the back seat lifted up? Is there any chance that someone potentially put some wrong fuel in it, like diesel, hence why it's not starting? It's a possibility, but I'm going to eliminate that by taking off the pipe from here, from the fuel delivery line, which is this one right here, which goes towards the high pressure fuel pump. Take it off, get a bottle, switch the ignition on to see if you have any fuel coming, and we got a good working fuel pump, so I'll eliminate that as well, and see if what we have is actually petrol or is something else. So that's our next thing as well. But let's first take the coil packs off, and then we're going to go after that. Yeah. So got WD-40, got some of these long nose needle pliers, spark plug socket extension, and a ratchet. And I'm going to see if we can start with taking this off here. There you go. That one is broken. This one I'm gonna see if we can Yep, that's all right. Is that one broken or what? Or is it tight? That's just tight. Some of these are so brittle, you just have to be so careful on it. And it's not working out. So let me go and get a pick real quick. Cool, got the pick. So we just should be able to just lift this plug connector bit off here. Believe me, this looks a lot harder than it actually is, but sorry, the other way around. It's a lot easier than it is appeared. There you go. Yeah, that connector is definitely broken. Don't know why, but that's what happens when you buy auction cars. You don't know what you get. Cool. So we just move this to the side a little bit. Now we can lift the spark plugs out. Hopefully we should just be able to lever it out. Now there is a special tool for this. Luckily that came out quite easily. And that special tool I don't possess yet, but I will invest into it. And that can be used up to I think about 20 Gen 2 and some Gen 3s on the EA888 and the older TFSI engine as well, EA113. But luckily these came out a hell of a lot easier than yeah, like that's not even putting any fight up, is it? Yep, it's perfect. And then this last one. Perfect. Cool. Now we just get some of our, yeah, we got spark plugs in all of them. That's good, I suppose. I'm missing spark plugs. The engine is cold. Haven't started it. Haven't even attempted to start it. Can't be bothered to risk any critical components. So we just get, what's this? It's a 10mm, but it's actually a 16. So it's a spark plug 16 socket, so it should be fine. Yeah, that came off nice. Wasn't too bad. That one was not very tight. It was tight, but it was like snugged up, not very snugged up. That same with that. Same with that. Good thing I think there's a chance that someone probably just took this apart and said, nah, let's send it to auction. But we need to find out why. Because there was not any sort of major timing faults. Just the camshaft on the intake was giving a fault where it can't reach the retardation point. It's over advanced essentially, and when that happens, it essentially is if you come around, I'll show you as well of this. There is this right here is a camshaft solenoid. Inside of it is something called a spool valve, which is what activates the oil pressure towards the camshaft adjuster on the camshaft, and that is one unit. The camshaft adjuster and the camshaft is one unit. It cannot be replaced separately. You have to buy a whole new camshaft if you have a faulty camshaft adjuster. Anyway, so I was saying, camshaft adjusting solenoid, there's a little spool valve in there, and then there is a camshaft. So 9 out of 10 times the P0011 code usually refers to this being faulty, or the actual spool valve, which is what delivers the oil pressure to the camshaft, is faulty. But from my experience with these EA888 Gen 1 and Gen 2, they got something called a camshaft bridge, and the bridge has got like a little tiny oil filter. It's supposed to filter oil debris from getting into the essentially into the camshaft spool valve and clogging it up, causing faults. But unfortunately they tend to break off, and when they break off, in the best case scenario you can easily just take it out. In the worst case scenario, they make their way all the way through the head, and then you're in for a whole load of work. But hopefully we don't have to deal with that, but we'll see. Let me quickly take the spark plugs out and go from there. Smells a bit WD-40. Yeah, smells a bit WD-40. Yep. Back in there. Cool. That's what the coil packs look like. They look absolutely fine. Spark plugs, they look alright as well. I'll just show you like number 1 for example. It's a bit wet, but that's just from the WD-40 I put down the cylinders to help me loosen them up. They smelled fine. They were a bit carboned up, so I don't think they've been changed for some time, but they are NGK plugs, so that's a good thing. I don't know if I can show you the holes, but that's what they look like right there. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to get my bore scope out and I'm going to put the camera into each of the cylinders, and I'm actually going to turn the ignition on. And the reason I'm going to turn the ignition on, I want to see if we have any potential injector failure on any of the cylinders, because that will, again, if we do not have that, that's excellent. We can essentially eliminate one extra thing from this entire process and say, look, that cannot be the fault. So this is just now a process of elimination. So let me just quickly do that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to then get a bottle, take this cap off here, so this clip, pull this off. It's a little bit hard, believe me, they're not easy to take off, that one. The clip is easy, but the actual thing itself to pull it off, nightmare. And see if we have actually got fuel in the form of petrol. Do we have fuel coming in? And is the pump in the back in the tank good? Because the fact that we had a back seat lifted up is not giving me much hope. So let's go and do that. Alright, so I'm just going into cylinder number 1 on the bore scope to see what we have. It's a bit tricky, I know, I'm sorry. Carboned up. Can't really see much, but it is carboned up. I don't see if I can turn this around. Can't turn. This is the problem with cheap bore scopes. They are not always the very best. Let me try that again. Yeah, so that's just cylinder number 1. Nothing to report here. I don't see any wetness, so that's a good sign. We're going to go to cylinder number 2. There you go. Yeah, that's cylinder number 2, so that's on its on its downward stroke. I don't see, you see those little grooves that are cut out in there, in the around here and there? That is for the inlet valve, so that's absolutely normal. What you do not want to see on there is shininess. That means we have a contact being made by the piston and the valves, but we got some shininess on the edge. Oh, sorry, what's that? Went somewhere wrong. Let me try that again. 1 second. A bit fiddly. There you go. So we have something here and then something on the edge over there. It's not very clear to see. I appreciate that, but it's just the camera is like that. So again, that looks fine. Again, no wetness in that cylinder too. Cylinder number 3, but before I do that, let me just quickly clean this off. Let's try that again. So we have cylinder number 3. Don't worry, that drop is just some WD-40 that's around the threads that dropped in there. But again, no wetness. The contacts look fine on the other grooves for the inlet. Look okay. It's carboned up, that's fine. Looks okay. Nothing special to report. Cylinder number 4. Just gonna put this into that. And once again, nothing special to report here, just carboned up and yeah, nothing else, no wetness around it, so that's excellent. What we can do now is I'm going to turn the ignition on and I'm going to do the same thing again real quick. So this is cylinder 1 with the ignition on, so we can see if we have any fuel leak from the injectors. And again, it's dry. Don't worry, that drip is just from me moving around the bore scope and essentially some of the WD-40 dropping in there. There's nothing wrong there. A leak in injector is quite obvious. Oh, piston there, and also it would actually, yeah, that's fine. Again, no leaks there as well, so it's nice and dry. It's good. That was cylinder 2. This is cylinder number 3. I'm just gonna, yeah, that looks dry and clear. Cylinder number 4. Yeah, same story, no wetness in there, and it's looking pretty good. So what we can see is that we haven't got a fuel leak, or the injectors are not leaking. It's good. We do not see any sort of valve contact being made, so that's excellent. We still don't know if we maybe have a burnt valve or something like that. We don't know anything, we're just guessing at this point at the moment. Pistons are carboned up, so that's good. They're not washed or shiny, not indicating a coolant leak or anything like that, so that's good as well. Spark plug look okay, ignition coil pack look okay. I think the next thing to do is to lift this car up in the air, or at least lift it one tire up at minimum, and see if we can spin the engine. If we can spin the engine at least 10 times without any form of resistance, then I think it's quite fair to say that we should then go ahead and put a jump pack on it and do a compression test on it to see if we have a good cylinders. But that said, if we have a camshaft that's faulty, we might get a slightly different reading. So I'm not sure if that compression test would actually be any good if we have a camshaft that's not really, you know, working like properly. Maybe we have a broken or we have a pin broken within the VVT system where that is just skipping, so it's not going to open and close the valves properly, which would lead to a false reading on the compression. So I'm just thinking, I'm not saying that it's going to be the case, just keeping that in mind. So I think the best thing to do is lift the car up this side and do just spin the engine by hand and see how well that goes. And then after that, what we do is I'm going to take the fuel line off, and then once I take the fuel line off, I'm going to again turn the ignition on and make sure we actually have fuel coming in from the pump, so that will indicate the pump is working fine and we actually have petrol, not diesel. Believe me, it happens a lot more than you think. People putting wrong fuel and then they say, "Oop, engine gone." You'd be surprised. So yeah, let's get at it. If you think the top of the engine oil was bad, have a look at this. Oil here, and up there. Very, very oily. Honestly, the top of the engine's having a diddy party, and the bottom one is having a separate diddy party at this point. Look at it, it's just literally, don't know if I can show you that. Yeah, just yeah. Crazy. It's got to be a real main seal on this side, at least I'd have thought, or something along those lines. But yeah, see that engine oil. Cool. Let me just take this under tray off rail here and put the bolt on the crank, the socket on the crank, and get at it. But yeah, it is very, very dirty underneath. Cool, so that took a bit longer than normal because, well, I had to take the other part of it, the wheel arch, and one of the bolts was rusty. So now I put a long screwdriver in there so you guys will be able to see that the piston number 1 is moving. I'm just going to spin the crank like around about 10 times, or I might not even count it, just spin it many times to see if we have any binding issues or not. And if we don't, good, it's very good. Then we can start moving on to maybe later on take the oil out and inspect the oil for any damage. We know that we got too much oil anyway. We gotta see why that is. But let's get it. Ooh. Oh man. So beginning a little bit hard to move, but then it's fine. I think it hasn't been moved in a bit, but yeah, spinning fine. It's got a little bit tightness to it, but nothing crazy. I just think it's got the auxiliaries on it, like the alternator and AC compressor, so that might be why it's got a little bit on there. But moving fine, not too bad, not too bad at all, not too bad at all. I think there must be around about 720 I've done it now, but just gonna keep on doing it. So yeah, at the moment it's looking good, like we don't have any contact with pistons and valves, but yeah, looking good. I'm hearing some noises, but I can't quite fathom exactly what they are. But there are some operational noises. It could be, like I said, the camshaft. If it's faulty, the actual camshaft VVT unit, it has a tendency to make tick 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 tick, because the pin that holds it in a position, it's sort of, it's like smudges off, it wears itself out, and then you get like a clicking noise. So it could be that, it could be timing chain, could be anything for all I know. But at the moment, we're just spinning, and it's spinning okay. So I think we are good to go on this side. Cool. Right, upon reviewing that footage, it's not looking good. Not looking good at all. The piston does move the screw row up, but it doesn't push it back down, and it's not consistent up and down, up and down. I think right now it's on top of the stroke, so I'm going to push the screwdriver down to see if I can hear anything else. It's not doing anything. Very interesting. Okay, I'm going to move to cylinder number 2. That's on the bottom at the moment. I'm going to do the same thing again on cylinder number 2, and then number 3 and number 4. See what kind of results we get. So let's get at it. Cool. I don't know how many times, but at least 3 times I think I spun that over. 3 or 4 times minimum. Let's see what we have. Sorry about that, I had a wrong socket. It's actually 24, not 27. So let's try that again. Hopefully we should have good reading. All the piston should be moving up and down smoothly. If not, we are in big trouble. Oh, let's see. Crank it up. Spinning in and out. Back on that. Cool. So I just spun that many times, and we're gonna quickly review the footage and see how that one went. Oh, cool. I did that cylinder number 2, and I did the same thing again. It pushed it up, but doesn't push it down. So I'm disappointed. I'm not sure if the screwdriver is getting displaced or what's going on, but I'm going to do number 3 and I'm going to do number 4 and see if this is a human error or if this is actually a different something else. See, that's not at the top, it was at the bottom. This is at the top as well. I'm going to do the same thing again, see how that goes. Oh, that didn't sound right. I heard like a clank. Do you have a broken rod or rods? I heard a clank, a very distinctive clank. I've heard a very distinctive clank. What the hell? I heard like a clank, almost like a rod hitting the side of the cylinder wall. If you ever installed pistons, you know what I'm talking about. Cool, that's done. Oh, it's not looking good at the moment. As I was spinning it, I heard a very distinctive clank of, if you imagine this is the rod and this is the cylinder, kind of, not like that, but like touching it like this. And even number 3, it just goes up or down, one of the two, but it doesn't do anything else. So I'm going to do a number 4 and see how the results look. If the same result, then what I'm going to get is I'm going to get my brother to give me a hand. He's going to put a bore scope down there, and we're going to see if we have actual piston movement or not. But at the moment I'm a little bit not sure what the hell, because I can hear a noise, which is not a good noise that I want to hear. But let's see. It's gone down. Yeah, so that's cylinder number, get out of the way. Yeah, that's on there. That's definitely inside now. So I'm just going to quickly do the same thing on number 4 and see how that goes. Oh. Oh. I heard that noise again. And no, the noise is not me hitting the sway bar or the drop link with this ratchet. It is actually a distinctive noise I can hear from the engine. Cool, let me have a look at the footage and I'll see how that looked. It's definitely harder when you're doing it on the floor compared to on the thing. Where's the ratchet gone? Alright, cool. Alright, let me just record piston number 2. that's piston number 3.
You hit nothing.
Okay, so this is piston number 4 we're about to check. So far we had all 3 moving up and down, so the screwdriver test was false and misleading is the word I'm looking for. Let me just do this. All right, good news. A lot better than what I felt earlier. I did the whole test again with the same screwdriver in every single cylinder, and I was getting the same thing. Screwdriver would move up or down and just wouldn't go up and down like this. Wasn't quite sure what the hell happened there. So with the help of my brother, I got my bore scope out. I put it into each cylinder and I went onto the crank, and with each cylinder I spun it over, and I had every single piston move up and down, up and down, up and down. And I'll put the footage of each of these cylinders in the next few clips. I was hearing a noise which again kind of shook me, because it sounded like a rod hitting the edge of the cylinder. But if it was a broken rod, I would have had something jam up, or it would have been it would have been something completely different. But having a little bit more further thinking, I realized that maybe because it hasn't been started in a long time, it hasn't got enough oil pressure. Maybe there's a little bit of play between the crank and the rod bearings. So that's where the knocking might be coming from. So that's why there's a little bit of like a knock. Of course, this will all be 100% confirmed the moment I crank it over. If I hear knocking, then I'm pretty sure game is over. But for the time being, pistons are moving up and down. So it was a little bit scary, if I'm honest with you. When I look at the footage, I was editing it. It just I was like, hold on a minute, that just doesn't seem right. And I was right, because the screwdriver never let me down, but today it gave me a false reading. So bore scope to the rescue. So just goes to show, very, very important bit of kit. These are very important bit of kit, and the better one you have, the better your diagnosis is going to be. So definitely worth investing in one of those. But anyways, I'm going to continue the video on from earlier, because my clothes are this is obviously after I did the initial checking and everything. So I'll just let the video carry on and go from there.
Okay.
Cool. So we spun the engine many times, as you guys saw, and it seemed fine. Honestly, it seemed fine. If I had to hazard a guess at this point, it was a bit tight in the beginning, but then I don't think it's been moved in a long time. So if I had to hazard a guess, I think this engine is probably, or the whole car is probably sent to the auction, probably because we may have a faulty camshaft. And if you want to get a genuine camshaft from TPS or VW, you're not looking at anything less than at least £600 for a genuine one, because the camshaft VVT unit is actually built within the camshaft, so you have to replace that. Plus the labor on top of it, you're looking at least more than what we paid for this car, way more than what we paid for this car, because it's basically requires you to change the timing, take the timing off, take the top of the camshaft cover off as well, which also acts it's not, you can't remove it without affecting the timing. So it's a big job, it's a very big job. You got to remove the engine mounts and all that. So if you take into account the mileage of the vehicle, 145 or 143 I think it is, and then take into the labor and so on and so forth, and the condition of the so on, I think someone just dumped this car because of that, which seems silly to me, but I've seen sillier things. So yeah, that's what we are suspecting at the moment. Good engine, spinning fine from what we can see. The other thing I'd like to confirm, because it's starting to rain, so I have to pack it up for today. I think we should take this fuel line off from the high pressure fuel pump and see if we actually have fuel coming in, and whether it is petrol or diesel. Hopefully not diesel, because that can cause some other damage. But so far looking good. It's looking good. Before I put the jack out and everything, I'm gonna leave the car on the axle stands. I'm actually going to take the brake cleaner and spray the underneath of the car, because it is looking like this car is about to get invaded by America. So I don't want to do that. I like this car for now. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll take the fuel line off and confirm fuel delivery, and it's got proper petrol in it, not something else. So let's do that. Cool. Just about to take off this fuel line right here to confirm whether we got fuel delivery or not. In the yesterday video, I mentioned about this having an oil pressure fault and the light come on. In the bottom right here, we have two sensors. One is on the bottom, and then one is at the top. The top one is known as the reduced oil pressure sensor, and the bottom one is just an oil pressure. The difference between the two are, from what I've read on the technical service manual on the EA888 Gen 2s, that apply to some of the other engine. This features something called a self-regulating oil pump, and essentially as a result you have two different pressure sensors attached to it. The top one looks for the presence of oil pressure. By presence, what it means when you start the engine, is there oil pressure? It doesn't matter if it's low.
I decided to break
it doesn't matter if it's low, but is there oil pressure
as I'll be able to see into
at
the
that
cylinder
sensor,
and
yes
see the
or no?
piston moving up and down.
The
So I just
second
asked
one,
my
the
brother
bottom
for
one,
help.
is a
And
pressure
as you guys
sensor
see in
for
the next few
high
clips,
speeds or
all
higher
the
engine
cylinders
speeds.
and all the
So the
pistons
bottom one
were
looks
going
for
up
oil
and
pressure
down,
presence, make sure there's oil pressure
which is a
available.
big
And the
relief.
top one looks for
So
oil pressure at a higher range when the demand is more.
that's one less thing to worry
So
about.
the fault code that we were getting for was the first one, the more important one in my opinion. Well, they're both important equally, but that means the fault that we were getting was for this top one right here, for the reduced oil pressure. Is there a fault within the sensor, within the wiring? Because the top one is connected directly to the ECU, so it reports straight to the ECU, where the bottom one reports on the CAN bus network. So if we have an ECU flagging up a code for the reduced oil pressure, we need to investigate that and find out whether we have a broken wires, what wiring fault, sensor fault, or do we generally have a fault within the oiling pressure and pressure system. So I just thought I'd make that a bit clear, because it was one of the concerning points that I saw. So I just thought I'd give you guys an update on that one. But yeah, let's get this fuel line off and go from there really. So I'm just going to take this off like this. This can be a little bit tricky. There we go. Main thing is not damage this wire. Oh sorry, this line, not wire. And then just literally do this to it a couple of times. I suppose that's probably, there you go, see there's fuel coming out. Just do that a couple of times and then it should be able to, this is going to shoot out fuel I think in a minute. It's going to go all over the engine, but that's fine. It's going to clean some of the oil for us as well. So yeah, if you just slowly do this, I don't think this has ever had this happen to it in its whole life, so we're going to be a bit stiff. And when you do this, please be careful of this pipe right here. And actually it's just a bit loose anyway, which is not giving me much confidence, but don't break it, otherwise you'll regret it. And actually saying that, I'm gonna see if I can disconnect this like this and then just over. This on these engines a headache. Save yourself a headache. Working on cars is headache enough anyway. The less headaches you have, the better chance you have of fixing things without releasing a oh, there we go. Yeah, that smells like petrol. That's fine. I'm just going to quickly find a bottle and we're going to turn ignition on to confirm we got fuel delivery. From that I can sort of tell we do, but we just need to confirm, so bear with me a second. So I managed to find a bottle, a water bottle, and I'm going to see if we got fuel coming in. So go for it, Abid. turn it off, and turn it back on. Perfect. Turn it off. Cool. I'm going to quickly examine that, but that is, I can see the vapors coming out of it. That is, I think, 100% petrol. Let's just confirm real quick. But yeah, that is definitely petrol. I wonder how it tastes. Nah, I'm not going to do that, man. Yeah, definitely petrol. 100% is petrol. Cool. So that's good. I guess we can eliminate that as one of the things we don't have to worry about. So we got fuel coming in, and the fuel that is coming in is indeed petrol. So that's excellent news. Cool. So I put the fuel line back on the actual fuel pump itself. I didn't put the clip on it, reason being in case you gotta take it off. It's one less thing I've got to do, basically. So that's why I haven't fully put that on. The weather is not, in our favor today, so I have to end the video here, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's turning out in our favor at the moment. We're still in the diagnosis process at this stage, but I can pretty much confirm that we should be able to do a compression test. But I'm just in two minds whether we're going to get a positive or a false reading. So I just have to wait for the weather to get a bit better. Hopefully it should be better soon, and then do the compression test in the next video and see if we can even do the first attempt on starting it. I have cleaned the oil on the bottom as much as I can, and I've cleaned some of the oil on top, so it's looking a little bit better than it was before. To show you quickly, so compared to what it was earlier, it's just looking slightly better. Not much, but in this case everything helps. I'm going to put the spark plugs and the coil packs back in their hole, just so I can take them out in the future easily. And I'm going to essentially put everything back together, wait for the weather to get better, and as soon as it gets better, in the next video we will put everything back together, the spark plug, the coil packs. Before we do that, we obviously do the compression test, put it back all together. If the compression test comes back good, I'm not sure exactly how much PSI each cylinder should have on the CCZB, which is what this engine is. So I've got to figure that out, and hopefully once that comes back good, then put it back in all together, drain the oil out, or drain, it's too much oil in anyway, so drain the excess oil out, go for the first start up, see if you can start it up, see if it would start up, and kind of go from there. The most important that we achieved in this video is that we got the engine that is spinning beautifully on its own. A little bit tight in the beginning, but then I don't think it's been moved around for a little bit, so that's why that was a bit tight, but after that it became smooth. So I'm happy with that. So I'm gonna have to end the video here. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and stay tuned for part 3.